All right, the Yankees win 3-0. Jake, that was probably one of the most boring baseball games I've seen, but we'll take it. The way we're playing, we will take any win, all means necessary. Will Warren, obviously, on the mound. It was an inefficient day, but only complaint you could possibly have. He went 5 innings, 2 hits, shutout baseball, 4 walks. Very typical Will Warren day where he didn't necessarily have the command, and most of that was early, but he had 7 Ks. He misses bats. That's the brilliant part about him. And Jake, I always love to remind you of his ERA. His ERA is now 4.37, actually becoming much more respectable there. I wish we could wipe away that Dodger start, make that look a lot better, but
and
I
those
digress.
2 runs they gave him.
Exactly. Tim Hill touched the mound today. Thankfully, all went well. Fernando Cruz got a clean inning. It worked out. Weaver, Williams. Aaron Boone sort of talked about that was going to be right? They're going to play it by ear. In terms of the order, Jake, I know you said that Weaver probably fits a lot better in the middle of the game. They did that today. The bullpen was great. Everyone was shut out, 1 hit combined, 0 walks. That's the best part about a bullpen. But Jazz Chisholm hit his 12th home run of the year. Jake, I know you've been saying that this guy could be great. He's just got to stay on the field, and he did that today, helped us win. 2 for 4 today from Cody Bellinger, stole a base and some action there. But today's questions, we have a lot on our plate. Jason Dominguez, after a 4-hit day, didn't touch the field. It was interesting. Ben Rice slotted way down the order. I've received a ton of messages about that and why it happened. But the good news here is he did catch. He was in the lineup today against a right-hander. That made some sense, right? Aaron Boone gives us an update that Marcus Strowman will be starting Sunday in the finale with the A's. So we'll obviously talk about that. And then the start from Ben Rice is where I want to start, right? I want to begin with the fact that we had Ben Rice behind the plate. I know people like to scapegoat the new catcher for how a pitcher throws, his command and catching the game. Jake, what'd you see back there? Because I love the fact that Aaron Boone made the decision, I've got to get this guy in the lineup, and it didn't pay off today offensively, but how happy were you?
I was very happy. It's hard because I do like Austin Wells, as you know, and he's been one of my guys, but man, flip-flopping or not flip-flopping, we're learning more and more about this team as the year goes on. And the reality is right now, whether Austin Wells is going to break out like he did last year around the July marker or not, the Yankees don't have time to wait. I mean, they are literally in a bind where one of the best 5 hitters in their lineup can't play every day. So you have to make him play every day. You have to find ways. You have to get creative, whether that's at first base, whether that's at DH, whether that's catching. We've talked about him playing third. We've talked about him playing second. Boone doesn't believe in those 2. So it's really going to be first. It's going to be DH and it's going to be catcher. And to me, you know, I'm already starting to see it on social media. I didn't even think about it. And I have no issue right now. I want to make that very clear. I have no issue with Giancarlo Stanton's at-bats. There are already people calling for him to be not an everyday DH because he's clogging up the DH spot. And
I'm with Michael K on this. I am. I think he should just play regardless of how he plays. He's just too deadly in October. And I know people say, well, why don't you just put him on ice like he's Austin Powers and just defrost him in October? That's not the way it works, guys. It just doesn't. You don't just get to turn it on. It's because he was playing in August, right? He was playing in September, and there's a tune-up process to that. So
yeah,
Giancarlo Stanton's not a cheat code in October. There's a human element to this. So, yeah, like I said, I'm with Michael K. This player is just too deadly in October. Let him play. Leave DH alone. Just understand you've got a streaky player over there. But the rest of the positions, the position players, you've got to get creative. And I like that you mentioned that Ben Rice is a top 5 hitter on this team. He just is. I know the numbers, they don't necessarily indicate that. But if you watch the at-bats over a long course of time, you'd see, yeah, this is one of the guys I want up at the plate. It just is. All right. Cody Bellinger, I think early on, you see right here with Caitlin's dad with the super says, what is wrong with Goldschmidt? Slump or no? He was another one of those top 5 guys that you said, this guy's got to be in the lineup every day. But it's starting to regress. Now, Jake, I want to address this real quick because people are starting to murmur about the slump of Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt was a player that was giving us 380 batting average, right? I know it's an old school stat, but he wasn't really slugging. No one really cared because he was still a situational hitter, right? He was getting his knocks. He was getting guys over when we needed to. And he was just driving guys in all means necessary. But then all of a sudden, the Yankees, as a unit, not just in that one position at first base, Aaron Boone made a decision. I've got to get all these guys that I really like in the lineup one way or the other. They called it a good problem to have. And next thing you knew, Paul Goldschmidt would have an 0 for 4 day, and it would be a standalone event, a one-day thing. And all of a sudden, they said, well, Ben Rice is really swinging a hot bat, a lot of hard contact. Get Ben Rice in there for a day. And the next thing you know, we're flip-flopping. We're not really sure how it's going to go. Do you think that perhaps Paul Goldschmidt coming on and off the field has anything to do with this, or do you just think that Paul Goldschmidt is having a regression at this age?
I wouldn't go as far as to say this is a regression. I would go as far as to say this is a slump. This is a skid. This is a storm. Can he get past it? We'll find out. He did this last year at the beginning of the year, and then really that second half is what ultimately kind of saved his value. It's why the Yankees got him. They believed he could be that hitter in the second half of the season. The weird thing is his at-bats don't look bad. It's just more so I think he's striking out more. I think he's pressing. I don't care if you're 37 or you're 27 or you're 17. You're going to be pressing when things don't go well, right? And I think it's starting to get to Paul Goldschmidt, especially you hit the pine. You know, you're getting paid to start every day, and all of a sudden you see this 25-year-old kid is playing over you. And you know, I think that this is something that'll turn itself around. It's kind of like how I feel about Austin Wells. I do think he's going to kind of figure it out in July. But right now, while he doesn't have it, I don't feel like I can justify playing him every day over a guy like Ben Rice. Now, I know his defense is really good. I get that. I don't think Ben Rice is such a net negative at first base defensively where that trumps everything. So for me, I'm with you in agreement there. Stanton should play every day. He should. I mean, he's probably your most dangerous hitter after Judge when he's on.
This is not a comfortable thing for us to say, by the way. Giancarlo Stanton, he was hitting okay, but the ball wasn't leaving the ballpark. He wasn't doing what we were paying him to do.
Yeah.
But we're just saying that we need to respect what it really is, right, under the covers there. I promise you, this time, in 6 weeks from now, we can just be having the conversation of Giancarlo Stanton's carrying the Yankees for a couple weeks. It's what it is. And there aren't hardly any other players in this lineup that can even do that. There just really aren't. So, and by the way, when it comes to this whole idea that Paul Goldschmidt is, you called it a slump, right? Mm-hmm. That was your choice of words. What's interesting about that is what happens if Paul Goldschmidt doesn't have justification, right, to be on the field over a Ben Rice? And all of a sudden, you sit him over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks. How can a player come out of a storm when they're being benched? That's, to me, the hard part about having overlapping talent. I think that's the Yankees' biggest problem right now. They call it depth. I call it overlapping talent. You've got a couple good players at first base. You've got a couple options at catcher, right, between Wells and Escara. You've also got Ben Rice in that catcher's mix. You've also got a player who's probably one of the worst defensive players in the game, who also is starting to show some signs offensively of something electric, and yet he really probably needs to DH. Don't have that spot. So It's just interesting because when you tell a player, if you're going to have a slump, this mini slump, and you need to get out of it at some point, how do I let them get out of it if they don't stay on the field? I think that's the hard part of all this.
What I hope it's not, by the way, is it's not the fact that, oh yeah, the Yankees were just facing more lefties earlier in the year. Now they're facing righties, because it feels like every night they're facing a righty. And if that's the case, then Goldschmidt's going to be pretty much a paperweight against righties. Because, I mean, his OPS, his batting average kind of shows that. But it's interesting because, you know, I understand, like, the idea, totally understand, like, you would want to play him and get him out. But at the same time, it's like, they need these wins so bad. They're not 17 games above 500 anymore. They're 13, right? Nice job, Gary. They're not 17, right? They're 4 away. But when they were 17 games above 500, that's, in my opinion, the time to experiment and everything. To me, in the answer to this prompt, it's uncomfortable if you are an Austin Wells fan, and we've talked about Austin Wells highly on this show, but we've also been real about him. Ben Rice should absolutely be starting. He should be the starting catcher. He should. And this is an easy thing to remedy next year, because if Paul Goldschmidt isn't going to hit 330 or whatever he was doing at the beginning of the year, and he's just going to fall off a cliff and say this is the beginning of the end for him, he's not being brought back. I hate to tell you that, folks, but he will not be back next year. So then it becomes Ben Rice's job at first, and then you could start looking at catcher where, is it Austin Wells? Is it JC Escarra? Is it Rafael Flores in the minor leagues who's playing very well? Is it Jesus Rodriguez? I mean, they have options, right? So that's the thing. They can kind of address that. And I don't think, Gary, and this needs to be said, I don't think they trade Narvaez if they really believe that Austin Wells wasn't the guy. That's the thing. I think they traded Narvaez based on what they saw in July and August, and they were banking on that to be Austin Wells. And that might not be Austin Wells, Gary. That might just be a 2-month player. And if that's the case, that's still a player that can be on a team, but is that a starter? Probably not. So we're going to find out more and more over the course of the year. But I think for the time being, yeah, Ben Rice should 100% be the starting catcher for the New York Yankees.
Yeah, that's fair. And coming in today, I mean, I think most of us thought Jason Dominguez would play, right? And you can complain. We'll move to this Dominguez conversation because it needs to be talked about. And this isn't a win, so we feel like we're not coming from a point of attack. This is just talk. But we were almost sarcastically saying that Dominguez wouldn't play, right? There were some people who were like, I told you.
I knew it.
I knew it. Okay. But
unreal.
We always like to believe that there's some analytic or some logic behind why a certain player plays, right? Why that player doesn't play. But we also had this conversation with Bellinger. Bellinger has a 3-hit day. We love it. We get on the pod. I described him as the most impactful player between the glove, the arm, base running, the bat. I love everything that Cody Bellinger stands for. I thought he's one of the better players on the team, the entire roster. Had a day off 4 days prior. I thought there's no way in the world he wouldn't be on the field. No way. And then the following day, he's riding the pine. The explanation was that Jason Dominguez has just got to get some burn. He's got to play. And they decided that it was going to be Trent Grisham out there, right? It was going to be Dominguez out there. So it made me learn, and I feel like it didn't quite hit my brain the way it needed to. Like it didn't register it. That there isn't going to be a logic behind who plays in the outfield any given day. Today, Trent Grisham had an awful day offensively. He didn't do anything. He had some hard contact in his first at bat. We can address that for sure. It was good contact. Mm-hmm. But he didn't actually do anything. But what's so interesting is that will have no impact on tomorrow's lineup at all, right? Jason Dominguez didn't play. Jason Dominguez probably will play tomorrow. Why, you might ask? Just because he didn't play today. That's why. And so that's the sad part, is that you brought this up, Jake. You said, I would play Jason Dominguez every day over Trent Grisham. And I gave you some blowback. I said, well, hold on a second. Jason Dominguez, his overall numbers, he's not slugging, he's playing poor defense. And you mentioned, well, he's our top prospect. So you either have to get rid of him or you have to use him.
Yes.
And so the Yankees have a problem on their hands. They're being run down by the Tampa Bay Rays at George Steinbrenner Field. And they're choosing not to develop a player every day because they think these other guys can give him a better chance. And yet they're only playing Jason Dominguez every so often just to make sure that he just stays ready, just in case there's an injury. That's a bad decision. It is. So I give you credit, Jake. I love that you got out front of this. But the longer we go on with some of these players, the more you realize their play has nothing to do with tomorrow's decision of who plays.
Yeah, I agree on that. I actually have one of the best comments, and And honestly, it's just listing stats, but we didn't get a chance to reply to it. It's at Kenny Ortiz 361. Okay. At Gary Sheffield Jr. at JK Bogan. Do you think Dominguez is getting better from the right side? Last 40 plate appearances, 320 average, 850 OPS. What I don't understand, and thank you, by the way, because if Kenny is out there, that was a great comment.
Kenny's here. Yeah.
Kenny's here. Okay, cool. So anyway, what I don't understand is if Boone wanted to look really smart, do you know what he would do?
What would he do?
He'd play Jason Dominguez every day. He's been telling us we've been wrong. He's been telling us, no, give him time. He can be a switch hitter. He can be beneficial for we've been saying get rid of the switch hitting, right? And Boone believes in the switch hitting so much he's been actually open about it. And now the last 40 plate appearances, what he's been saying has actually come into fruition. So genius idea here. Why don't you just keep playing him? Because guess what? He's getting better and he's developing that power profile. It hasn't shown up. I get that. But that takes time. He's 22 years old. You know what's a great example of this, by the way?
What's that?
Spencer Jones. He just hit his 17th home run today in the minors.
Homer. Yeah, his first home run in AAA as well.
By the way,
I'm going to throw this up on the screen.
For Spencer Jones here.
I don't want anyone to say we don't read the chats because I want to throw it up.
Yeah, what's up?
So you see, I'm trying. Yeah, thank you, Magic Mouse. So the promised one here made the prediction that Spencer Jones would get called up. Yeah, well done.
I love that.
I did notice that.
That's great.
And we also have a new member, Wildman Samurai. Welcome
Thank
aboard.
you, Wild Man.
Yankees Unloaded
Appreciate
member.
you.
And we also have a super chat here. It said, happy to see this channel growing. Don't know if you noticed, we did pass 7,000 subscribers. So again, guys, thank you. And if you guys aren't subscribed, please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. I think some people were telling us our last episode, they weren't notified till halfway through the pod and then they jumped in.
That makes me so pissed.
I'm telling you guys, it's YouTube. So do the work, I guess, to try and get rid of it. I don't know what else to say.
You know what else
let's
is
go
YouTube?
on a run, Yankees. So
I
don't know.
These handles. What the hell, man?
What do you mean the handles?
You know how Caitlin's dad, the first one you read?
Yes.
Yeah, that's somebody that does super chats all the time. And that name is just gone. It's just at Caitlin's dad. It's showing the ats now. It's not showing the names.
Are they doing this to promote people? Yeah, maybe it's doing it so people know that you can send each other, like trying to make it Twitter, but it's not going to be. They took away DMs 20 years ago and they're never bringing them back. This is true. And guys, one thing I've been trying to say, and then we'll get back to obviously baseball.
Yeah.
I've been trying to say that super chats should be able to allow you guys to attach a microphone, and then I can go in and say, "Oh, look at that!" Right? Mike Stroh left a voicemail, and I can drop it into the chat, and then read it on the channel. Right?
Gotta love that. Yeah, of course.
There should be better UI on this platform, but there's just not.
I agree.
But back to Jason Dominguez, because this is really does.
No. Back to Spencer Jones, because I was making a good point.
Oh
here.
yeah. Go ahead and finish it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he had 16 homers. Okay, in 2023, right? He played in 117 games. Then in 2024, in 122, he has 17. He's got 17 in 50 games this year. Spencer Jones is older than Jason Dominguez. He's 24. But if you actually go back and look to when he was 22, he had as many home runs as he has right now at the end of the season. And right now he has it in the middle of the season. So here's my thing, okay? Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about this because you and I have talked about it. Where's the pop? Well, the pop's coming. It is. We've seen it. You're going to see glimpses of it. And I think I'm learning this through watching Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones was being yelled at in every direction not to strike out. And he was having his batting stance changed and his swing changed over and over again to the point where if I don't know if you noticed, but he started just trying to hit the ball opposite field. He just started trying to hit line drives. He wasn't trying to hit home runs anymore. So he kind of lost that pop, right? Well, it's back, and he's, completely changed his stance and everything. Jason Dominguez has the same exact approach. The reality is this. Dominguez has shown you what he can do, and that gets me excited for the future. But all I need him to do right now is slug, which he's still going to do. And I need him to get on base, which he still does. And I need him to hit for average, which, again, over 250, I will take. And I'm sorry, but Trent Grisham is a horrible watch as the leadoff hitter. He just is. I'm sorry to tell you this.
So you don't like the Trent Grisham thing?
I cannot stand watching him as a leadoff hitter. It's almost as bad as watching Volpe in general.
I have talked about Trent Grisham's production, right? I've mentioned it.
And I don't hate Trent Grisham. I'm just being honest.
But we don't hate anybody. You don't even have to say it. The people who are like, you hate it, don't even waste your breath. Those people are losers. So Trent Grisham has hit 15 home runs. He's driven in 32. Okay, so he's producing. His on base, this is why he's leading off. His on base is almost 350. Now, that's not Juan Soto-esque. It's not 400. It's not 450, but 350 is pretty good. An ops of 820 is pretty good. So that's why he's on the field. The Yankees feel that playing Trent Grisham is the best thing they can do right now. We can't rip the Band-Aid off. In order to sit Trent Grisham, they pretty much have to admit, we'll just give up whatever production he possibly can give us. And that if we're going to give that up, that's the only way we can see what Dominguez can do. But they're not willing to do that. So I'm going to go back to what I've said. I'm not going to sell anybody on Jason Dominguez. If you don't believe in him, get rid of him. Trade him tomorrow. I couldn't care less. But if you do believe that it's going to turn in, you're in your best guess, and I'm talking to the Yankees here, strictly. If your front office genuinely believes you've got something special here, there's no way in the world that Trent Grisham, who has 5 full seasons in Major League Baseball of being a 200 hitter, is having a jolt in his career numbers just for a second here. A flash in the pan. Now, mind you, this could possibly be a change, right? A change in Trent Grisham's career. But you're going to actually put him out there and risk Jason Dominguez not possibly developing for this year's run in October, and you're going to run. What happens if Trent Grisham falls off in early August? Like off a cliff, not falls off the way you guys have seen of late. No. What happens if Trent Grisham looks exactly the way he looked in San Diego 2.5 months from now? Would that shock any of you? Probably not. Jake, it probably wouldn't shock you either. And then what would we be saying? In hindsight, we would say, well, Jason Dominguez needs his shot. Well, Jason Dominguez has been playing every other day or sitting 2 days in a row and then playing on a Wednesday, some random Wednesday. And now you need him in August? That's what the whole point is of June baseball, is to get people ready for when you really need them in October. So I think this is a dangerous, dangerous game the Yankees are playing. And I get why they're playing it, because we're barely outrunning Tampa, and they're afraid that what happens if we play Jason Dominguez and Trent Grisham's output could possibly be the difference by the break. Maybe that's the way they see it. But Jake, it's like I said, it's tough, but they need some big boys in there to make some decisions, because they're playing it very soft right now.
Yeah, his average dropped below 200 batting first. So leading off, he's not a good leadoff hitter. This is what I've been saying.
Where's he good, by the way? Where's he good in this lineup?
So typically speaking, second, and when he bats second, he hits 264, 350 on base, and a 746 OPS. Okay. When he bats seventh, and keep in mind this is in 10 games, he has a 333 batting average and an over 1,000 OPS.
Oh, it doesn't even matter. It actually doesn't even matter where he hits, because the whole concept of does he play or not? That's the thing. So if Trent Grisham hits 285 with pop when he's hitting eighth, because I see people in the chat, slot him way down the order. Yeah. Guys, if he's slotted way down in the order, that also means that Dominguez is not playing. It means he's not playing at all. So why do you have him on the team if you're willing to play this? Mind you, I like what Trent Grisham's doing. I know people are like throwing in a fun way. They're like, Trent Grisham leading off sucks. Yes. But at the same time, the answer is either you play him or you don't play him. And if you're playing him and he's got really good defense, Cody Bellinger's your other option. What other options do you have? You're not going to sit Cody Bellinger to play Jason Dominguez. You're not doing that. He's on your team next year. So I don't know. I think you guys need to be cognizant that this isn't even a lineup conversation. Like if Trent Grisham hits 9th every day starting tomorrow, that means you're still seeing Jason Dominguez 3 times a week.
Yeah, I'd still start Dominguez. But the point being is
so
that,
you would bench him, right?
Yes. When he's in there, though, I definitely don't want him leading off. I can't stress that enough. And I have analytics to back it up, but they don't use analytics clearly, because if they did, they know that. If you were using analytics, would you be hitting a guy leadoff who has a below 200 batting average when he leads off? Probably not, right?
Probably not, no.
So, yeah, that's just my biggest thing. He's a guy, like, leadoff hitter, you kind of want them to work counts. Trent Grisham has a 351 batting average when he swings at the first pitch and over 1,000 OPS. When he takes the first pitch, he has a 219 batting average and a 774 OPS. So what that tells me is that he's just a guy that if you just let him not think too much, not try to be the leadoff hitter, just be a 7 hitter, an 8 hitter, he's going to go yard. He's going to swing for the fences, and 351 batting average tells me, and by the way, 45 games. Like,
I think I figured it out. The Yankees should trade Dominguez. There you have it. And I'll tell you why.
I don't think they should.
I would trade him, and I'll tell you why. Because the Yankees don't know how to use him. There's no reason to have him. Think of it this way. You're going to hear what I just said and think that means that I think that Trent Grisham's a better player than Jason Dominguez. Nope. I don't. Here's why I think they should trade him. They should trade him because the Yankees refuse to use him the way that you clearly should be using him. Jason Dominguez is only valuable if he plays. If he's not going to play, he's not valuable. A 22-year-old young player, a top prospect, he's not valuable on any roster if they don't play. So people can say what they want. And Jake, you were like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't either. If I was running the Yankees and I was the manager, I'm the general manager, I'm saying, hey, Trent, you're doing an awesome job. An awesome job. Do you know what Trent Grisham's doing for me after the deadline? He's not playing for me. You know why? Because I would trade this player, and another team clearly, look around baseball. They need an outfielder. Jake, you've mentioned this. Another team needs an outfielder who's got 15 homers, 32 ribbies, is hitting 250. His ops is over 800. He plays good defense. You can laugh about the lackadaisical defense. No one cares. This stuff is high quality. It is. And another team is willing to trade for it. So trade this player and allow your young player to play. But the Yankees won't do that. Why? You guys are asking the wrong person. If I was in the Yankees front office, then maybe I can give you guys a real answer. But the Yankees see this as a good problem because it minimizes injury risk. The chances of Jason Dominguez getting hurt, significantly less if Trent Grisham plays every other day, if Cody Bellinger sits down twice a week. It's much easier to stay healthy. Imagine working a desk job and your boss calls you and say, hey, no, the Monday through Friday thing is no longer going to be a thing. We're going to hire 2 of you. You're going to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're going to work Thursday, Friday. See you later. So Jason Dominguez, if he is not going to play every day, I would just send him packing and go get something crazy out there on the market in one of your holes in your lineup, like third base, like replacing maybe LeMahieu on this roster and just getting an upgrade. I don't think he's bad, but getting an upgrade there or getting a big time arm in the rotation. But if it were my choice, I would sit down Trent Grisham every day and play this kid. And at the very least, Jake, last thing I'll say, learn what I have. Because if Dominguez is not a star, then at the very least I have my answer and I can look at the market now.
I get what you're saying. I look at it in terms of what did Hal say just last year? That they're going to stop spending, right? They're going to start kind of pulling back a little bit. And we assume that this was because, oh, yeah, they're about to give Juan Soto close to $800 million. Okay, that makes sense. But I still believe they're going to do that regardless. And if they're going to do that, having a kid on 5-6 years of control where he's 22 and he's already, and keep in mind, he hasn't really gotten the opportunity to be an everyday starter where he's not looking over his shoulder.
Never, not once.
And yet he's hitting over 250. He's getting on base. He's stealing bases. He's a threat with his legs. My feeling is this. I think the Yankees, as much as people wish that they didn't, and I'm not even necessarily disagreeing with this, but I think the Yankees look at the future more than people wish that they did. I think they actually care about the future more than people think. I think a lot of people look at this as it's this year. They need to trade him. Grisham's playing better, whatever. I think it's close enough where it's not even a discussion for me. Dominguez should be starting, and I don't think you have to trade either of them. But one thing I will not do is say to trade a 22-year-old potential all-star level player, although all-star means nothing to me, but potential really, really good player who's showing, as soon as he's starting to emerge and show the signs, I'm definitely not trading him. But I'm not trading him away because regardless of what happens this year, the Yankees play baseball next year and the year after and the year after that.
You think he'll play every single day?
Yeah. And Trent Grisham is not going to be on the roster because think about this, okay? Trent Grisham's going to get paid. He is. He's going to get paid. So he'll get paid. He'll be gone. You have Cody Bellinger. Let's just say, for the hell of it, they end up with Kyle Tucker, right? You got Judge, you got Bellinger, you got Rice. Well, what if I told you instead of Rice playing first, they actually like Bellinger playing first? And now you got Jason Dominguez, Kyle Tucker, and Aaron Judge.
How many players on the Yankees play every day?
Judge.
I want you to think about
Volpe,
this because you're. Yep.
Jazz.
List is short.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. But I get what you're saying. What
you're
I want to
saying
say,
that
though,
Jason Dominguez will develop and then they'll give him the keys next year. I'm here to tell you right now, they will not. I promise you, they will not. Look at what they do. Look at the team. Don't let me project. Look at the roster. Trent Grisham is our starting center fielder today, right?
Yeah.
You look up and say, okay, Grisham's playing. Judge is playing, okay? You say Rice is playing. Does Rice play every day? Not even close. No, right? Jazz plays every day. He's in the infield. Volpe plays every day. Now, mind you, one of the players of the three that you named, total, there's only 3 players on the whole roster who play every day. They're a pencil-in. One of the 3, 33% of those guys, is a player a lot of people don't even want on the roster. And suddenly now, Jason Dominguez is going to develop as a part-time player in 2025. So the Yankees are saying, we're playing this guy so that we have a maximum chance. We can maximize our opportunity to win now. And then Dominguez later on, while he's just been developing as this part-time guy, right? We're teeing up at bats against right-handed pitching, except today where he was benched. We're next year no longer going to have this problem. Trent Grisham's out the door. And now they want me to believe because he's out the door, Cody Bellinger will opt in. They have the flexibility to move Bellinger to first base, no Goldschmidt potentially. It'll free up everything. I'm here to tell you right now it won't. Then they'll tell you, oh, Spencer Jones is ready. Yeah, guys, he's ready. Oh, Kyle Tucker, who we're after, best case scenario, you land that player. Well, guess what? You just lost Trent Grisham and brought in a future Hall of Famer, potentially, and Kyle Tucker. And now you're going to tell me that what? Now Jason Dominguez is a pencil-in? I promise you they will mishandle this. They will. And I'm guessing that because they're currently doing it.
Are they mishandling it if they end up with Kyle Tucker and now they have to trade him? I don't think so. But I do think they're mishandling it if they trade him during a complete dog shit deadline. I mean, let's just be real. I was just talking about this off air. Since the MLB playoffs was expanded, all of these teams that have no business winning a World Series, now they have this idea in their head that they're going to compete and they don't want to sell. Teams that should sell are not going to sell at the deadline. It's why it's not just last year. It's not just this year. It's not just a slow deadline. It's not just dead. This is the reality of baseball now. The trade deadline is not as valuable as it used to be.
Yeah, it's why the off season where the trades happen. Yeah,
exactly. And it's why the biggest trade that will be made this year happened before the deadline. And it had nothing to do with whether or not the Red Sox needed to sell or not. They wanted to get rid of a player. There you go. Whether I agree with it or not, that's what they wanted to do. So the way I see it is rushing to get rid of Jason Dominguez when I don't think his value is high enough to even.
Well, nobody's rushing to get rid of Jason Dominguez.
No, but
I'm just telling you, going into this offseason, I'm not going to project that they're going to say, hey, we've developed this player. There's no longer Grisham. We don't have this problem, so now he'll start. And then
this is like
saving
Mike
money?
Tauchman, though. Remember when Tauchman on the Yankees?
Yes, I remember
he was
him.
hitting well, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, he's gonna. No. If Jason Dominguez, and it's no different with Mike Tauchman. If Jason Dominguez was hitting 250 and Tauchman was like hitting, I think, what was it? He was hitting 300 or something. I don't care. I don't care. I'm starting Dominguez. Tauchman isn't a long-term asset of mine.
Right.
And
so
he's probably going to fall off.
So if Tauchman was on this team right now and he was hitting 290, would he be playing?
Probably.
Thank you. So next year, you don't think there's going to be another outfielder that's giving us an outlier performance and then they're just going to play? Jason Dominguez is just going to be in a situation where he's always playing bad defense. That's who he is. He's not just next year going to be a good defender. So the Yankees are going to say, if you don't hit, then you're not going to play. Then there's going to be a player out there who's hitting 250 and slugging. Why do I know this? Because the Yankees are going to go into free agency and sign somebody. They're just going to. It's not going to be some big sexy name. It's not. It's going to be some Trent Grisham-like guy, right? Some Bader-like guy. And that player is going to go out and hit 280 for 3 weeks. They'll be out on the field. And then Jason Dominguez will be yo-yoing between DH, left field, and then we're just going to do all this over again, and then people are going to tell me, well, Jason Dominguez isn't that good. We have no idea how good he is. He doesn't play. He plays every other day.
I want to give, Trent Grisham deserves credit because he's not just a guy this year. He's been really good over the course of the year. He's starting to slow down. But
we're going to do that again. We're going to get that performance out of. We did it with Matt Carpenter. Matt Carpenter showed up here, gave us a ridiculous performance. What if there was a top prospect hiding behind Matt Carpenter? Then what?
Well, it might happen to Spencer Jones next year, but I don't think it's going to happen to Dominguez because the thing about Dominguez is that this is his first actual year, and this was the year he was supposed to start.
No, I understand. I'm dying on this hill. The Yankees will make the wrong choice with this player.
And
I promise
last year, when it came to Alex Verdugo, they were like, well, Dominguez isn't ready. And to be fair, he was a bit injury prone, so they weren't trying to rush him back. But it got to the point where, and maybe, there's a bigger discussion about Aaron Boone in this, because Alex Verdugo is one of the worst hitters in baseball right now. Period. He just is. And he had more leadoff games than Trent Grisham has had this year. He had over 40 games where he led off.
Did he do anything to lead off?
No.
How bad did you think Alex Verdugo was?
At first he started off pretty well. I thought he was a solid player. When
did you figure out that Alex Verdugo was a dud? In your opinion,
after 2 months, I would say.
So 2 months into the season, you realize this player is horrible. He's really bad.
It just didn't stop.
Yeah, and the defense wasn't that bad. Obviously, that one play he made in Baltimore was
his defense was good. I would say
the defense was good.
Part.
I like the defense. right?
Yeah, no, his defense was good. I'd give him that, but he was a horrendous hitter the rest of the year.
Right. So couldn't we have just made the argument that how's it possible that this player plays over Dominguez?
Yeah, but that was the thing is Dominguez was injured for almost the whole year.
Right. And then we also didn't call anybody up from our system to possibly play.
They
right?
called Pereira up and he got hurt.
Right. That's Pereira. Right. So I guess my point, we'll finish with this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a world. The Yankees are trying to sell me, and like you are kind of believing that they're going to do what it is they're projecting they're going to do, which is Trent Grisham's playing too well right now, so we have to play him, and it's putting us in a bad position because we can't play this prospect. But then next year, it's no longer a problem. It's great. We'll go after Kyle Tucker. If we get him, then we can trade Dominguez if we see fit. Or if we don't get Kyle Tucker, more than likely we will not, we'll now just have a runway for this prospect and he can play the whole year. I don't believe it. Just me personally, maybe other people believe it. That's okay. I don't buy it at all because I look at people and they say that this Yankees roster is musical chairs. You see the super chat right here from James Swoop, some 8447. Thank you for the 5. Says Boone's playing musical chairs and badly. ET and Rice must play, use Grish, Goldie as defensive subs, pinch hitters. So,
Thank you, James.
We're describing all of it, not just this Dominguez thing with musical chairs. We're playing musical chairs at catcher. We're playing musical chairs in the outfield, right? People were messaging me today about, DJ LeMahieu and what we can do over there. I don't know. It just seems like if all of it's musical chairs, I have to simultaneously believe musical chairs stops in 2026. Like it slows down. I don't know. You mentioned they're telling us it's going to get cheaper. I do believe that. I do believe it'll get cheaper and maybe that slows down the musical chairs. But I'm furious with how this is playing out. I absolutely hate everything about it. I do. I just think I'm being lied to.
I mean, I get that. I think also it's important to realize that this is also happening in LA. Hyeseong Kim and Tommy Edman. I don't know if you were aware of that. Kim is not playing every day. A lot of Dodger fans I see, he's only had 78 at-bats this year. Mm-hmm. And he's hitting 372 in very limited opportunities as a 948 OPS. Tommy Edman is hitting 248 and has a 732 OPS. So a lot of Dodger fans are fed up with the idea that Tommy Edman is playing over Kim every day. And I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Dave Roberts. Like, I think he's a good manager, but I think he's overrated.
Wasn't Tommy Edman just given a big contract?
He might have been. But my point being is that, like, Kim, who's 26, who they just signed from, I think it was Japan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They just signed him. Huge get. Like, the idea of getting him after everything that they did was insane. He's not playing every day. And that's a really, really big pickup. And he immediately looks like he can play in this. It was Korean, right? Gotcha.
Yeah, so you look up, though, the player that he's not playing over, because you're mentioning that there's a prospect that can play. Like, if they were genuinely giving him the runway, he very well could just run with this opportunity. The difference is we're sitting our top prospect behind a guy who's literally in a contract year, who will not be a member of the team more than likely next year. Tommy Edman signed through 2030 on a $75 million contract. So
where the hell do they get all this money?
Where do they get it? Tommy Edman is receiving $74 million over the next 5 years. And people are like, why isn't Kim playing over him? This is like, it's not, that's the reason, guys. That's the reason. The Dodgers are doing this because what? You're going to play Kim, and then what are you going to do with Edman? You're paying him $15 million
Kim also
a year.
play in the outfield? Why is Conforto playing? He hits 176.
Yeah,
anyway.
No, I absolutely understand what you're saying. What's at work over there is completely different. You've got a player who's making $15 million. It's the same contract essentially that we gave to DJ LeMahieu, just slightly shorter. All of a sudden, some young player is going to come in, and because he has potential, he's going to play over this dude making generational money. Like, I think that's the difference. The Yankees are doing it because they really need to win games right now. And so I think they're just throwing out Trent Grisham. But what else did we want to talk about today? Because I don't want to talk about Trent Grisham all day, to be honest.
No, I get that. I think really the Yankees, though, looking at the Dodgers, I think that they should look at the decision and what the Dodgers did with Andy Pages and mold their decisions around that, because he's become a very good player.
That dude's
and
got a hose.
last year, well, Jason Dominguez has a hose.
He does.
So the last year, Pages hit 248, a 305 on base, and a 712 OPS, and he was able to get 403 at bats at 23. Dominguez is ahead of him. If you really look, Dominguez's development is ahead of Andy Pages, who's already turning into one of the best center fielders in the league. So
yeah, he looks good.
So that's my thing, is that I am doing anything possible, because ultimately, what is going to help you more? Trent Grisham, who's proven that he's really not this player. He got off to a great start. He's starting to slow down. What's going to help you more? Sticking with that and hoping that this is just his anomaly year and he ends up having a great year? Or betting on the guy who's not that far behind offensively, and you could argue now he's ahead of him offensively, aside from the home runs. A guy who's 22, who's figuring it out right before our eyes, who has a very high on-base percentage, who works counts, who actually should be leading off, who walks, who's a threat on the base paths. I mean, I understand the defense, but at the same time, I think Dominguez, one thing that we haven't really said here, and I was thinking about it, I think Dominguez has gotten better defensively, because I think he's actually learning from a Cody Bellinger, from a Trent Grisham, from an Aaron Judge. And we're
he's
seeing
gotten
that.
better, but he was atrocious. So I think he's no longer atrocious. He's just bad.
But that's the thing, is that that's a good sign, is that I'm already seeing him now. He's charging the ball more. Like these are things, and we could talk about how he should have already been doing that. I don't care. That's neither here nor there. I texted you in spring training, like, this is horrific. I am terrified of him starting in left field. And look, I'm not sitting here like, yeah, in Game 7 of the World Series, you have to make a diving grab. I don't necessarily want Jason Dominguez to have to be the guy to do that. But what I am saying is that I just think if you stick with Jason Dominguez, I think his ceiling is high for the future. But I think when we talk about Dominguez, people just assume I'm talking about the future. I think it's higher as far as next month. I think as soon as next month, if you played Dominguez every day, if you went all in on Dominguez, he'd blow by Trent Grisham productively. I really do believe that. And I think the thing that has hurt him is the Yankees. So in a sense, I do agree with you that they've messed up his development, but I don't think it's too late. I don't think they have to trade him. And I do think that next year can be different. But I think it starts with right now, and it's time for Aaron Boone to kind of admit to himself he's not doing things the right way. He didn't do things the right way last year when you just kept sending Alex Verdugo to the dish and he's batting 170, 180, right? Like it's not good. So
they were literally playing him because of defense. Like, to be honest with you, I think he was just out there to catch a fly ball.
And to me, that's not good enough. That's just not good enough. Because if he's that much of an auto out, then his defense doesn't mean jack shit. It just doesn't, to me.
Yeah,
so
I guess.
So I understand why Grisham's been playing, but now it's time to really make the decision. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning. You stood on a table and told us, nope, Jason Dominguez is a switch hitter. He is going to switch hit. He's going to play against lefties. He's going to help us. We believe in his right-handed at-bats that are getting better. Well, guess what? Boone's been right. But stand on that. Don't cower away from it. If he's not in the lineup tomorrow, that is an abject failure. I don't care what Trent Grisham did today, and I didn't care that he had 4 hits on Wednesday. Great game. Cool.
Oh, Dominguez? Dominguez will play tomorrow. He won't play. He'll play tomorrow and then maybe the next day. And then if he plays well, you better not project that into anything.
But
I promise you, it means nothing.
Scatter shooting playing time is literally the worst way to develop somebody. So
exactly. So if you're going to scatter someone's playing time to develop them, in my mind, I'm like, you're stunting someone's development. And if you're going to do that, then why do I have prospects to begin with? The only player, and this is the one player, you brought this up last episode. There's been one player for the Yankees that they said, we're going to play him, get his bumps, his bruises. He's going to learn. And we're going to clap when he does something good. But if he does something bad, we're not going to yo-yo him off the field. That was Anthony Volpe. Only player they've done that. He went out and played the entire season.
I don't enjoy watching in the lineup.
2023, didn't matter what he did, right? He played good defense. He won the Gold Glove. Didn't hit 20 homers, but he did not hit. He hit 200. That's not a good season. It's not. Easily could have justified taking him off the field. They didn't do that because they said the glove is just too good. Okay. We let you get away with it for a year. We watch the next season, right? So it's just one of those things. I hope the Yankees just understand the decision that they're making, and they're not just saying, let's just rotate these guys. Musical chairs doesn't work. We got a super chat here. Thank you for the sixes. Hey, Belly, I know you're helping us keep our offense barely above water, but I'm going to need you to sit the next few games. Why? AI told me, according to Boom. So obviously not a real quote, but very funny.
Appreciate it.
Is,
we have some that we missed, by the way.
We did? Oh. Yeah.
Why
I love this because this is the next one anyway.
I already have tickets. Oh, God. Yeah, we know what that's like. But even better, you at least could prepare yourself. We thought we were going to see Nestor Cortez. That's what we thought. We thought
it wasn't great, but it was much better than Marcus Strowman. So,
yeah,
Marcus
I was
Strowman, by the way,
for Cortez, but
Jake and I were talking about this before we went live. We said Marcus Strowman is probably not worth starting ever. But on top
That's
of
a way to put it,
not being able to start ever, he's also not pitching well in the minor leagues on rehab assignment. He just got shelled in the minors. So what's next? The Yankees think, well, this player who's probably not good enough at this stage of his career due to injury, right, due to regression, whatever you want to call it, he's just going to go start anyway on Sunday. There you have it. He doesn't want to go to the bullpen. He tells us a few weeks ago, I'll pitch anywhere. I'll come out of the bullpen.
Stupid.
I'll do whatever you need, right? It was the opposite of what he said last year. Last year, he was beating his chest. He had a ton of confidence. It's what got him here, right? They feel like I'm being forced to say that. But Jake, Marcus Stroman's pitching, obviously, against an Oakland team, right? Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas, a bad baseball team. They're not good, right? You saw that today. It was one of the most boring baseball games you've ever watched. Now, that's going to help Marcus Stroman. It will. But is this lineup worse than the lineups that he potentially saw at the minor league level? No. And he wasn't having success. So could it go well on Sunday? Maybe. I know some people in our comments were like, no, this could be a good thing. Jake, you remember that? We had that conversation. Maybe he can pitch well for this next 3 weeks, and then the Yankees can actually ship him out of here. I promise you right now, if the Yankees have the ability to start Marcus Stroman for 3 starts over the next 3 weeks, and he pitches halfway decent and Brian Cashman's able to trade him, Brian Cashman should quit his job and immediately go to Wall Street. He is one of the best salesmen you've ever seen in your whole life, if that occurs. So I guess that's what we're going to watch. It's wild, but I'm interested to see what our chat thinks because I do not have high hopes for the start.
No, I don't either. I think it's going to be an opener. Just listen to how can I get excited as a fan, as an analyst, whatever. How can I get excited in general with him on the mound when he didn't pitch well his last start in Double-A? He gave 10 hits, 6 runs. But it gets even worse than that. Watch Boone's. See, I'm not one of those mannerism like gurus. I couldn't tell you exactly what people think. I can't read people's minds. But watch Boone's body language when he talks about Strowman. It looks as though like Cashman is behind the scenes, like whispering in his ear, telling him he has to say. Boone doesn't even want to play this player. I'm convinced. Like, I've seen it. Like, it's like, why is it all like, yeah, we'll see how things go. Dude, they don't want to play this player. They don't. It's entirely, I believe this is entirely Cashman. I believe this is a last-ditch effort to try to trade him.
What would you say if someone told you had to play a player? Like, what would you tell us? Do you think the media conferences, like, do you think all this post-game stuff would go the same way? Because clearly, if it's your job, right, to deliver the fans, because that's the whole point of these post-games. They're going to come in here, tell you what you're allowed to hear, and if someone over the top of you is like, hey, guys, this is what you're doing today. You can't veer off of that. Don't you feel like you'd be giving us the same answers Boone's giving us? Aaron Boone's, it seems like he's just blowing out the lines. People keep telling us to ignore these conferences. Maybe this is why, because people are going over the top of them. And I want to try and give Boone the credit that he's telling us he deserves, which is that he's the one making all these choices, right? That's what he sells
I feel
us.
like, in a sense, that's giving him credit. Is being like, okay, yeah, he doesn't have a choice. His hands are cuffed on this player. Gary, think about this. They're paying him $18 million, okay? There's no way you can tell me a player that they're paying $18 million to, a player that gave them really good starts and probably was their best pitcher to start the season last year. And now all of a sudden, the way that they think about this player is, yeah, we'll see. No. Because if this was the case with Will Warren, Luis Heel, Clark Schmidt, they are literally talking like it is set in stone. Yeah, so what he's going to do is he's going to go through this, and then we're going to start him. They've never once been like, until today. They haven't. And not only that, it felt like they kept pushing it back. I think what really happened is Aaron Boone most likely wanted Winans to just be really good, to the point where Winans could just be the guy for that time. And honestly, in the first 4 1/3 innings, he had a perfect game. So let's not act like he was just chopped liver. But Alan Winans, if he pitched well enough, would have gotten the start on Sunday, right? I believe that that's what Boone was tracking for, because keep in mind, the IL stint for Yarbrough, it's retroactive to the 20th. So they were getting out in front of it. Like, he's going to come back soon. I don't think it's going to be a long stint.
This is absolutely pathetic.
So what I think is that they were hoping, well, I think Cashman is hoping, and this all comes from Cashman, that they're really trying to start Strowman and trying to sell him high, right?
Sell him high. They're doing donuts in a 2003 Honda Accord. He's not selling for jack.
But I think I don't think Boone wants to start him. And that is why I don't feel like we've gotten any confirmation until now how they even feel about this player. I mean, just think about it. Go through the times they've spoken about Strowman. It is the most, like, it's like us talking about single A prospects. Yeah, they exist. We're not going to see them for 3-4 years, but they exist. Like, dude, they have not once actually made it feel like they were even interested in bringing Strowman back. Okay, so this feels like it's coming from Cashman. This is my stance on it. Okay, I wouldn't pitch Alan Winans on Sunday. I would not pitch Marcus Strowman on Sunday. I would be pitching the red hot Cam Schlittler in AAA. I'd be calling him up. I'd be having him make his debut. People get so caught up, and this is what I talked about last year, when it's like the Yankees call up a prospect and it has to be a freaking ceremony. Like when Spencer Jones gets called up, if it happens, like the earth, it has to just stand still. And
some people are saying that Spencer Jones got called up for
scouting. Yeah,
just scouting purposes, give people a better opportunity to see him, which actually could be the case. I'm not going to retract the idea that just 2 months ago, I
wouldn't rule it out.
Spencer Jones was not a topic of conversation 2.5-3 months ago. He wasn't. He was not.
I think it would be stupid.
People were talking about
going to get anything, but
people were talking about George Lombard Jr., right? They were talking about all these players. Lombard Jr. got called up early. Like, let's not forget that.
Yeah.
All conversation was that. All conversation was on, okay, Jason Dominguez is now going to be up here full time. He's healthy. He's off the injury. Now he's ready to go. Top conversation was on that, right? So you kind of look back and say, well, what are the Yankees really doing? Like, are some of these guys who are dominating at AA and AAA on the bump, are they really not worth pitching instead on Sunday? I think there's an obvious answer as to yes. And everyone claps like seals for the Royals when they do it, right? They bring up a player, the top prospect in their system, and they didn't have to bring him up at that time, right? There were other podcasts who were like, this is the worst thing they could ever do because you don't have control.
I don't get that.
That's the front office talk. I don't give a rip about front office talk. Talk to me about winning a World Series. And I see people in our comment section talking about the Dodgers and Dave Roberts and all these different people. I don't care about anything other than winning. And that organization is winning. So all these other teams are just playing catch.
Look at the Reds, man.
Up.
Look at the Reds. They call up Chase Burns. He was literally drafted not even... If you went last year, the draft hasn't even happened yet. He hasn't even been drafted. This time last year, Chase Burns was not even drafted, and he just started and honestly was shoving it against the Yankees, just absolutely destroying them. And, you know, he ends up giving up 3 runs, but you could see. So Cam Schlittler, who has been in the minors, they drafted him in 2022 in the 7th round. He's 6'5", he's 225. We're not talking about DV Garcia, who's like my size, right? And so this guy.
Oh, you mean Pedro Martinez? That's what they said he was?
I didn't understand that. Then I don't understand it now.
Answering questions as to who they thought he was. I was like, he's nothing.
So Cam Schlittler right now, for those of you who don't know, and I saw this kid, he threw in spring training, and yeah, he gave up a bomb, but he had some good stuff. So he has a 2.18 ERA this year. He has 97 strikeouts and 74 and a third. And it's not just Yankee fans that are talking about him, because that doesn't really, whoa. Yankee fans like their own prospects. Oh my God. That's not crazy. But when you have Baseball America, who they update like their prospect rankings, and they start raving about this kid, they did like a whole thing on him. He's starting to really generate buzz. And so my thing here is this. Cam doesn't have to have a giant-ass ceremony, okay? As a matter of fact, Cam may never crack your starting rotation. Understand what I mean by this. You have Garrett Cole next year, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Luis Heel, Will Warren, Clark Schmidt, okay? That's 6 guys. That's 6 that are all under contract next year to start. So they have the same thing that they had this year, and that they have a surplus. Let's hope they don't trade 2 guys away and make it not a surplus. But point being is they'll have 6 guys. Where does Cam fit into that? I don't know. So it's a perfect opportunity now to showcase him. Don't be scared. Oh, he has a bad start. No, his value is high right now. So give him this start against a bad A's team at home on a Sunday, see what he freaking has, and then guess what? If he looks good, you can keep pitching him. If he doesn't look good, you gave it a shot. I'm sorry, but it does not matter what anyone says. When it comes down to Jackson Holiday, I love using him as an example. They called him up. They wanted to give him a run. It didn't work. They sent him down, and now he looks like a good player. Do you think a team in the league right now would be like, I'm not touching Jackson Holiday because he got off to a bad start last year and showed that he can't play? No, they don't care.
No. All 29 teams would be like, we'll take him.
This babying of the farm system, when this guy clearly is showing you that he's just astronomically better than what is in front of him, not giving him an opportunity, I think it's stupid. And I saw Matt Blake say, yeah, he's somebody that we think could help us in the second half. Well, not to throw shade at Matt Blake, but of course he is. Your bar is so lowered because you're going to have Marcus Strowman start a baseball game on Sunday. So, of course, Cam Schlittler could start on Sunday. He could start down the stretch. He could help you in the second half. Remember the bar? I keep bringing that up. Bar set. You're setting the bar that low? Like, for real. Marcus Strowman just got clapped in Double-A. That's his last start that he's going to make before coming to the big leagues off the rehab assignment.
Yeah, they're okay
That's
with
pathetic.
that. They're
That's
okay
pathetic.
with it.
I'm sorry. That's
They pay
awful.
a lot of money.
That
Pay
is
a lot
awful.
of money, so they don't care, and they'll tell you to suck it. They don't care. If we pay $18.5 million for this player, he's going to pitch. It could go well. It could. And then if it goes well, they're going to say, see, we knew what we were doing. And if it doesn't, they're going to be like, why are you guys freaking out? This guy's not falling. It's 1 of 162. So nothing can go wrong in their mind. So regardless of what we think, they're going to do it the way they want to do it. I keep trying to tell you guys, you should not trust what the Yankees are doing. Whether it comes out of the system, whether it comes into free agency, they'll go sign a player in free agency and literally block their prospects. They'll tell you they believe in Ben Rice and, we always knew what he was going to be, but we're going to bring in Paul Goldschmidt. Why'd you do that? Paul Goldschmidt's been great. Don't you love that signing? I mean, yes, but now I have nowhere to play Ben Rice. Oh. Okay, well, I've got this pitcher in Double-A. He's been awesome. He's been dominant. But we're going to pitch Marcus Strowman. Oh. Why are you doing that? Oh, because we think he's ready. Well, is there any explanation as to how you came to that agreement all at once that he was ready? No, he's just ready. You guys will see. And then we won't see. And then it's just nothing. Nothing changes. So, yeah, again, I'm happy about the win today. I am.
Oh, I am too.
We need all the wins we can get. We have to. I don't know how we're going to win these games. They're all boring. They're all ugly. They are. And the Yankees have to realize we need to put the best possible 9 that we possibly can put every single day. And that is going to lead us into quality habits to get hot. I know this team doesn't believe in getting hot. They just don't. They keep saying it in the postgame, we're going to get going. We're going to get hot. But then a player will play well, not play. They don't seem to know what getting hot is. So, yeah, it is disappointing. Whether it was one guy or another out of our system, I don't even like to call it an opportunity. I don't. Because that's almost talking about what could happen down the road. Whatever happened to just playing one of those guys out of your system because it's what's best for you that day. Maybe it's just that. And I think if the Yankees looked at it potentially like that, then we would make some better decisions. And Jake, I do want to move this conversation to Jazz Chisholm because Jazz had a big swing today. He did. That home run that he had would have left every ballpark except for Fenway Park. And they were shocked by that on the broadcast. They were saying
I don't even understand that.
Yeah, they said I have no idea how, but it does it shoots out there in right field in Fenway.
Would it have been a foul ball?
No.
I don't understand why that wouldn't have.
Trust me, I don't understand it, but that's just what StatCast says. So
that's wild.
So Jazz changed the game with one swing of the bat. He just did. And just like maybe 4 days ago, we had a super chat. Someone said, hey, hold on a second. The Yankees wouldn't have won today without Jazz, and they used it as a bad thing, right? Remember that? The Yankees did nothing today outside of Jazz. And Jake, you've been saying this, and I'm starting to warm up to it. Jazz Chisholm is a game-changing player. He is. He makes stupid mistakes. He does. He doesn't really think things through, but the raw talent is all there. The talent is that of a $100+ million player. Now, I saw some conversation, and this is where I wanted to kick it off to you because I was interested to see what you thought. There were some projections on X asking of whether or not Jazz would be worth the price tag of an extension. Now, he's not a free agent to the end of next year. He's going to go through arbitration one more year. But Jazz has been projected in the $120 to $140 million range. Now, I know these numbers, when I say these numbers, they're designed to scare everybody, right? You hear the number $140 million. It makes you side with the owners. I would never pay this player that amount of money. It's designed to make you think all players are overpaid. But I personally would pay it if this was a video game and I can hit that injury button and turn injuries off. My question mark for Jazz, and it always will be this until he proves otherwise, and then I can cover it. If he can stay on the field, he could potentially prove himself to be worth that money. What do you think about this?
I mean, yeah, I think that's kind of how I see it. You know who Jazz kind of reminds me of?
Who?
Curtis Granderson. He wasn't
Oh,
really
I see
known.
that. Yeah.
He wasn't really known as a home run hitter before he came to the Yankees. I mean, maybe his last year in Detroit, but like he was really a stolen base guy. Played a good defense, right? More of an outfielder, of course, but Jazz can also play outfield. So that's kind of the thing is like he came to the Yankees and you saw the 40 home runs, right? And I kind of see that. I mean, typically you want Jazz hitting in like the 260 to 270 range. I mean, you want him to do better, but right now he's hitting 240 and he's got pop and he's got speed. And that's something like Curtis Granderson had that. And I liked Curtis Granderson on Detroit. Like I was a fan of his before.
Yeah, he was playing
Yankees,
at Comerica Park, so it was a bomb to right center. And I think he led the league a few times in triples. Some of the lack of home run power that he had, I know he was hitting like 20 homers. That's not really what people think of when they think power hitter.
Yeah.
But some of that lack of power was due to the park as well.
Exactly.
So I think that's what it was. He came to Yankee Stadium, and you mentioned he sort of became this guy who could run, but he was a power bat. I love that comparison. I do. And especially at this age, you can justify
more,
paying
than Curtis. I like Curtis in general, but I mean, Jazz has a Robinson Cano-esque swing. Like
it's a good swing.
It's Cano, it's Bonds, it's Griffey. It's like it's got that. I can't really explain it. He's got like this swoop in swing. But yeah, I love watching Jazz. And the bottom line is, yes, health is really the only thing that kind of keeps me like, it just keeps you honest, right? Because I mean, he's got to be able to stay healthy. That's really what it comes down to. But yes, the dynamism that is there is enough to break open a game. It is enough. It's just like Aaron Judge with the power. You see it. You see the slugging. It's like Giancarlo Stanton with the power. You're looking for those dynamic players. Ben Rice is a dynamic player, can absolutely break a game open. Bellinger can do it, but he doesn't do it maybe as sexy as some of the other guys, although it feels like he's had some big-time home runs this year. So,
well, he is clutch. We saw what he did with the Dodgers. I mean,
yeah.
That year where they won the World Series, he actually had probably one of the biggest home runs of any of the home runs that you saw in the World Series, period. But I want to bring up something with Jazz because I don't want people to just be like, oh, yeah, Jazz, it does feel like he gets hurt a lot, but we don't really come with any data. I actually want to provide some. Now, when you look at a player who plays every day, it's not 2006 anymore. So let's turn the page. You're not going to see players play 162 anymore. Outside of like a Pete Alonso, players don't do that. They just don't. Now, you can look at a guy in today's game, 162, like an every single day player is probably looking at what? Like 150, 145? Probably somewhere in that range. Jazz Chisholm this year has played 51 games, okay? He played 46 for the Yankees last year, 101 for the Marlins, right? So he actually played quite a bit last year. But the year before that, he played 97 games, 60 games in 2022, 124 in 2021, and obviously in 2020, the shortened season, he played a third of the year. So really, Jazz is off the field all the time. All the time he's hurt. Now, is it poor luck? In my opinion, and I've long been saying this, staying healthy is partly your body style, partly the trainers, right? But also a skill. Do you have the skill to put yourself out of harm's way? Would you trust and I love to use this player because he's like in my top 3 favorite players of all time, Ken Griffey Jr. Would you trust Ken Griffey Jr. to stay healthy? Is it because he's a bad athlete? No. You wouldn't trust him to stay healthy. Why? Just his style of play. He's going to go headfirst into a wall because that's the way he plays the game. So, yeah, I think Jazz can do a better job of managing his body. I don't think he has to work any harder. I think he works incredibly hard. I don't have any problem with his jogging down the first base line on a play he knows he's out. I know it's frustrating at the time. I can get over it. As long as he hustles and he pays attention when he has to, I'll let it slide. But what I cannot have, Jake, cannot have this. Can't pay this player really Gleyber Torres-like money, $15, $16 million a year for 5 or 6 years running. I can't do that if I only expect you to play 130 games. That cannot be. So I hope this changes. I'm pulling for it, but we're just going to pay attention to what he does. If he stays on the field this entire year, because that's going to change his arbitration number this offseason. And then, of course, if he's healthy, and I'm going to make this call now, if Jazz Chisholm's healthy for the entirety of 2026, I think the Yankees bring this player back, and it is going to be a bigger number than I think you guys are expecting.
Yeah, I mean, he's very marketable. He's already been on the cover of the show. That was like 3 years ago. Kind of crazy how time flies. But no, he's definitely somebody that I think has fit well in the Bronx. Knew he would too. I mean, we both talked about it. But he's having a very interesting season because he's missed like 30-something games. So like you said, he's only going to end up playing like 100, maybe if he's even lucky to play 100 games this year. He did play 147 last year, which is interesting. But and that was the most, by the way, of his entire career. So the injury concern is real, Gary. It's not just one of those, oh, here we go, they're just trying to. No, it's a real concern. It genuinely is. But if he does stay healthy and maybe this like kind of 70%, because it wasn't just a swing, and I think a lot of people forget that. He was saying his whole game he needs to play at 70%, not 100%. And
I would agree with that.
I understood what he meant. And then I think he also kind of wrecked that when he, collided into a catcher. He gets himself in these like weird like positions, and there's always a player on your team. I don't care if it's hockey, I don't care if it's football, baseball. There's always that one player that seems to get in the most wild like collisions ever.
And then they say like, well, it wasn't his fault. Right?
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, just a freak incident, but it's always the same dude. You know what I would compare it to? I was told, I forget who, somebody in the NFL that's not in the NFL anymore, but I was told that it's actually an art as a quarterback to take a sack because you're trying not to injure yourself. So you actually you learn how to take a sack correctly so you're not like tearing your Achilles.
Who was the dude who played for Seattle?
Russell Wilson.
No, the wide receiver.
Oh, DK?
Nope, he was before that.
Doug Martin? Or Doug Martin. Doug Baldwin?
I'm not sure if it was Doug Baldwin, but the whole point, he refused to get hit. Refused. He would not get tackled. I'm regardless if it was him or not, if there was anything in the middle of the field, he would catch the football, and if he knew, I probably can get an extra 3 yards here, I certainly can push for that, he'd just dive on the ground. And people would question that. They go, why are you doing that? You're not maximizing this play. And he would always give the same answer. Yeah, Tyler Lockett. If I cannot guarantee my health on this play, I will not go for it. I will not.
That's smart.
I'm getting on the ground. Why? Because I'm more valuable with my head on than if it falls off my shoulders. That's why. So I think Jazz is going to have to learn that. Now, he's been playing baseball the same way. That's what got him here, right? He's going to be generationally wealthy playing a child's game. It's quite amazing. But it's hard for us to give this advice, and then he's going to be like, why should I take it? You don't have to take our advice, but along the way, you're going to have to learn. We watch Aaron Judge do the same thing. Aaron Judge had a huge problem staying on the field. We're watching him run into the wall at Dodger Stadium, right? All types of ridiculous, like he's falling and rolling over on his wrist and he's hurting, right? He's hurting his hip. No, Aaron Judge has to be more careful about the decisions that he makes out there, when to take risk, when not to. In this position, Jazz Chisholm just has to know I'm probably the most, I see it in our chat, he's the most athletic player on our roster. I would agree with that. Other than maybe, I'd probably give him the nod over Dominguez, by the way, because Dominguez can't play the infield. Jazz can play short, he can play third, he can play right field, he can jump out to center field. It's not a problem.
That's the tiebreaker for sure.
Yeah, I would give him the nod as the most athletic player we've got, but something about being athletic, you need to know when to pull back the reins. And so far, he hasn't shown he can do that. That's the last thing I need to see. Him check that box. Because otherwise, if we give him this big time money and he hasn't proven that, we in 3 or 4 years could be looking at another DJ LeMahieu like guy where we're paying a lot of money for a dude in the trainer's room. Can't have it.
No, I agree with that. I would say this, when it comes to the injuries and everything, I think when you look at Jazz, I think the thought is there. He's definitely getting better about that, but he still has those moments where I'm Jazz Chisholm. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Oh,
and yeah, he definitely does. And it's just, that's the thing you got to worry about. But yeah, anyway, we have one super chat and then we'll get into Prophet X and then we'll wrap the show. By the way, former friend of the Yankees is coming back. It feels like he always pitches against the Yankees. It is JP Sears. That dude has literally started like 8 games since they've traded him against the Yankees. So the Night Gardener, thank you for the 5. John Boy floated the idea that the Yankees are dangling Rice as trade bait. Would be idiotic to trade. He's a homegrown, fun player, ability to be elite. I will go on record saying I'm not like hating on him for the idea because we all have ideas. But if the Yankees traded Ben Rice, if they're actually doing this, I would say that might be the dumbest thing that they've done in quite some time. Like, just flat out stupid. I genuinely, you have a guy that can play catcher, first base, long-term, profiles well. He's a perfect fit in Yankee Stadium, really good athlete. That would be so stupid. What say you, Gary?
I don't care who we trade. I genuinely could not care less, provided who's coming through the door. If you trade a player like Ben Rice, you trade a player like Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, I have no problem with this idea that he's floated, and it's not that I agree with it. But I agree to trade anybody, provided that someone who's coming through the door, if it's a player I love on this roster, and Ben Rice is that player who comes through, he better be a game changer. And when I say game changer, I mean I better be turning on Yes Network to hear Michael K's voice just to hear him announce whoever that player is. I don't know who it'll be available, but if we're just going to flip Ben Rice so we can fill third base, right? You flip Ben Rice to St. Louis, let's go get Arenado over at third.
Oh my God! I'd have steam coming out of my ears, man.
Again, he's not saying that. He's not saying that.
No, of course.
But what he is saying is that potentially the Yankees know we have an overlap of talent at a certain position. So maybe we can get rid of this problem by trading a player that we know is super valuable on the market. He's playing well. His numbers probably aren't as good as the way he's playing, but we can get rid of this guy and we can get a whole lot on the market. Well, you better be getting a slam dunk out there. I'm talking top of the rotation like arm. I'm talking Ketel Marte like talent. I'm being serious. If you're going to go tell me that if Ketel Marte is coming back and you're going to send Ben Rice and a couple of other guys, I can justify it. I by no means want to trade a Ben Rice. I text multiple people a day talking about how much I enjoy watching him play. And I want to see his numbers get even better because I think they still need to improve. But having said that, I will trade literally anybody off this roster outside of Aaron Judge as long as I love who's walking through that door. So, yeah, have no problem with it. I do agree it would be idiotic to trade Ben Rice just for the sake of getting rid of a surplus if you don't love what's coming through the door. That's sort of just getting rid of a good problem that you have and then just making it worse.
Well, and also Ben Rice isn't the issue right now. It's Dominguez, Grisham. To me, Ben Rice can play catcher. We've already now seen this. We've actually seen a remedy in the middle of the year that I got to give Boone credit for because I'm glad they're finally playing him there. But yeah, I mean, I'm against trading Dominguez and Ben Rice, but if they trade Ben Rice, there's not actually a real explanation for that.
They'll never trade this player to us, but I just wanted to pop it up on screen because I've been bothering Jake about this player for the last 3 weeks. Jake, I told you. Jacob Mizorowski.
You were on him before Milwaukee. He got called up.
Oh, my God, mother of pearl. For any of you, mind you, Paul Skeens, I think
it's good to see a Jacob represent.
Widely regarded as the best pitcher in the game, right? Him or Tarek Skubal. I think those two pitchers, between stuff, command, right? Being able to go deep into games. Those two guys are the guys that everyone says, oh, this is like appointment. I need to watch this. If you haven't seen Jacob Misiorowski pitch, and again, if I mispronounce his last name, it is very long, very hard to pronounce. This dude, he's got the best stuff I have ever seen. I have never seen anything like this. It is wacky delivery. It is...
You call him the Miz? Oh, my God. Now I'm a fan.
Sitting, he is averaging. It is 101 miles an hour. 100, 102. It's Jacob deGrom-like fastball. It is a 96 mile an hour slider, and it's sitting 96. It's not like it tops out. It is at 96. He is absolutely filthy. If Jacob Misiorowski could be a Yankee, I would literally fly. I swear to God, I would purchase a ticket and fly to New York City and pack every single player's bags for this guy. See you later. That guy right there.
Obviously don't trade somebody like that. But yes.
You just never in a million years, especially when you're Milwaukee. But the player they potentially could dangle, maybe a Peralta, but Milwaukee's playing some pretty good ball. So,
well, that's my
highly
thing.
Doubtful.
So if Peralta is out of the question right now,
yeah,
who the hell are you trading Ben Rice for? Nobody is trading anybody worth Ben Rice. Nobody.
Yeah, it could be like Chris Sale and like Austin Riley. And again, people are going to be like,
I mean, but that's fair. But I also don't buy Atlanta never sells. So I just think
Atlanta just said that they're not selling on Chris Sale. That's just what they've told us.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, that doesn't mean anything.
But I'm just trying to come up with an idea. If I would probably tell you the player that I would trade for Ketel Marte. If Ketel Marte, the Diamondbacks, I know they're saying they're not sellers. I don't believe them. I think Suarez will be traded, but he's not a game-changing player. He's just not. He's not a star. He's hitting a ton of home runs, but I think there'll be a regression in the second half. Not a huge one, but he's not going to be that player. I don't make it seem like he's some star. I don't. But if we can get Ketel Marte in the middle infield in New York, that's a player I know will be at the top of the lineup. I mean leadoff. I mean a pencil-in ahead of Aaron Judge. That type of player, if I have to dangle Ben Rice, maybe I do it. So again, Jake, I completely agree with you. I'm not dangling a player just for the sake of doing it.
Player I wouldn't freaking trade for.
Oh, you would?
No, I'm saying I wouldn't.
Oh God,
I'd get so mad.
Who?
Sandy Alcantara.
Oh well, I'll tell you right now, I'd be out there marching the streets. I'd walk every street, every block, every avenue, all the way from probably I go to Joe's Pizza, from there by the Statue of Liberty, and just march all the way to the Bronx by foot. I may not make it alive, but I would go. I'd be marching, dude.
I would be. I'd be distraught. I'd be so. Let's just move on. I'm actually getting pissed off thinking about this. So yeah, let's just.
It won't happen. It won't happen.
No. It's annoying seeing it. Like, oh yeah, we should trade for Sandy Alcantara. How does that make the Yankees better? He can't pitch in Miami, so let's bring him to the Yankee Stadium. I'm sorry, I just don't understand that.
It's literally like trading your like 2024 Tesla for like a 2003 Cadillac Escalade. Makes no sense. Pointless.
Hell if I know. Anyway. Oh, well, he was a Cy Young winner. All right. I mean, then he had Tommy John surgery and has not looked any bit like the Cy Young pitcher since. Well, Matt Blake can get something out of him. Okay, then why are you giving up top prospects for him? Why are you trying to give up a lot for him? And then that question then becomes, why would Miami want the lowest of the low for him when they would just probably rather sit on their hands and wait until he turns it around? And if he doesn't, he doesn't. But you're not going to trade him for bottom of the barrel guys. Anyway. They shouldn't. Well, yeah, I don't want to say.
Let's get some picks underway because we play tomorrow, right? We should.
Yes, at 105.
Oh, brilliant. Love that.
Yeah. All right.
I love it.
So appreciate everyone with the super chats, all the comments. Appreciate you. Okay. The A's are 33-51. The Yankees are 47-34. 105, it's JP Sears taking on Clark Schmidt. Schmidt's been brilliant as of late.
There's no way we just sat Jason Dominguez ahead of facing a lefty. Let me ask
this
you
is what
this.
I'm
Do you think
talking
Jason
about,
Dominguez
Gary.
plays? Do you think he plays against the lefty tomorrow?
I do. I do. I actually think they're going to, and it's going to annoy me because it's just like, well, why didn't anyway? I stupid, just dumb. Okay, so so anyway, Gary, I'm gonna make this short and sweet. We went 3 for 4 today. Ben Rice was the only holdout. We got the strikeouts for Will Warren.
Yes.
We got the win and by 2, so we got the run line, and we both you like Jazz Chisholm at first, and then I also agreed with you. So Jazz Chisholm, the home run. You gotta love the home runs when you have a total base thing, because it just instantly is like, all right, total base is done.
Ever. There's nothing worse than seeing a knock, like seeing a single in the 6th inning.
Oh, I know. Now they have to drag it out. Yeah. All right, so give me Clark Schmidt 5.5. I'm smashing the over on that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have to just first try and get out front of who the hell I think's playing for this Yankees team, because I mean, it's not a given. They don't just play their best players. Jason Dominguez didn't play today. So if he sits 2 days in a row, I really venture to tell you guys that you can't even call him a top prospect if you won't play him 2 days in a row after a 4-hit day, excuse me, right?
I know who's going to be hitting tomorrow.
Who?
Austin Wells. He hits lefties. So
Paul Goldschmidt also, I'm going to go ahead and assume, he's cold. I mean, I know that. I'm basically just... It's gambler's luck. You're saying he's due. No one's ever due. Let's see. I'm going to probably... Believe it or not, they should make me a millionaire for making this pick. Anthony Volpe hits well against lefties, especially non-high velocity lefties. Anthony Volpe is going to have a multi-hit day. So just know that.
Anthony Volpe, huh? Okay.
Anthony Volpe, yeah. Low velocity, and I'm not saying he throws 48. He doesn't. This isn't like 91. It's not a craft guy. This isn't Hendricks. But JP's not coming out here with 99. That's not happening. So I think that's right in the wheelhouse of Anthony Volpe. Now, I'm not making this prediction because I think Volpe's the next Trey Turner. But I just think given the stuff we're going to see on Saturday, tomorrow, I think Anthony Volpe might have a day.
Okay. I like that. Creative. I'm going to go with 2 guys here. I'm going to stay away from money line, run line, all of that. Just going to go with the strikeouts, and I'm going to go with 2 total bases. I'm going to go with Austin Wells, who hits lefties well. Okay. And I am going to go with Jason Dominguez. Both guys were out of the lineup. I think both guys. And I want to end it with this. I think the young guys need to play every day. Mm-hmm.
It's valid.
To stay in their rhythm. But that's been my argument about why Trent Grisham doesn't have to play every day, because I feel like veterans can kind of turn it on when they're used to being like Trent Grisham's used to being a bench player.
You're used to maybe. What about Paul Goldschmidt? Do you think he can more easily handle this?
I think he can easily handle it compared to Ben Rice. What I don't think and what I don't like is that he's never been like a bench guy like Trent Grisham. So that's kind of my thing, is that I don't think that we should be like moving the goalposts for Trent Grisham when in reality, I mean, this is what has been his career. He's been a bench to spot starter guy, and that's who he is. And so, yeah. Oh, the last thing I want to point out, I brought this
on the screen. Blue Dot 7 says, you guys love Alcantara. Well, I loved my iPod Nano as well, but eventually it got outdated.
I never liked Alcantara. There's not... Because here's the thing. We did this show after Alcantara was good. So, like, when we started the show, he was not pitching because of Tommy John surgery. I have never once uttered any word that I wanted to get Alcantara.
But what if you did? Who cares?
And if I did, then it's null and void, because I definitely don't want him.
Well, no, but things change. If you think about it, according to that logic, any player you ever want to trade for, think of it this way. Last year, we were like, oh my God, we're salivating. Mason Miller could make every team, Philadelphia, right? Arizona had no closer. The Yankees, we wanted an upgraded closer, and everyone was talking about the idea of potentially trading for Mason Miller and just how good that could look. And everyone's like, you're never going to get him. How many people are talking about Mason Miller this year? Nobody. Absolutely no one is talking about Mason Miller. No one. Why? Because things just change. And then Mason Miller will get it going again. People will start talking about him again. Same deal here.
They should trade him because they're not even good enough where a closer actually matters.
No injuries. This is a high-value player, but injuries are a part of the game. You have to deal with that. And it makes no sense for the Yankees to take on this risk unless they're sending literally like nothing. They're just, we'll take the money, you take Strowman, we'll wipe our hands clean. But if we're going to send real players like this off of our big league roster, hell no. Absolutely not.
This shouldn't be a crazy deadline. Just go out, get IKF, get some bullpen help. You had mentioned, oh God, what the hell's his name? The guy on the Rays that they want to trade.
Who, the Rays want to trade?
Yeah, the Yankees wanted him last year.
Oh, the first baseman?
No, the pitcher.
Like Diaz?
Their closer.
Oh, Fairbanks. There you
I don't know
it.
why they want to trade their closer so bad. They're actually good, but they do. And if they are going to trade him, the Yankees really wanted him last year, but it's been about the disease he has with his fingers, whatever. Like, he gets really cold, and I just don't think that's beneficial for October, obviously.
He gets really cold?
Like abnormally cold. There's something.
Wow.
I don't remember what it is, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I forget what it was. This is not a HIPAA violation. It was reported. But anyway,
Jake's not his primary doctor.
Yeah, I can confirm I'm not his PCP. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Gary's still laughing over that.
Yeah, could you imagine if we're like, we've been doing all this not to avoid a copyright strike, and then we get HIPAA violation. They take our whole YouTube channel down. Have to start from scratch. That'd be sick.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Raynaud's disease. That's right.
Raynaud's disease? Wow. I've never heard of that. Interesting.
I got good memory. Damn. I thought I was losing it the other day. It's a circulation thing. That makes a lot of sense. It's hypersensitivity to cold. So, that's a real thing. So, look, that could be a problem in October. I'd still want him, though, because I think he's a good player. But yeah, anyway, that's going to do it. So, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Not sure when. It is 1:05 tomorrow, so we'll see what comes of that. But we'll be here tomorrow live, and yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. And what are they commenting, Gary?
How about you give me the list of the 3 guys that you would start every single day? Don't tell me there's a rotation. Of course, there we get a. Oh, wait, look at this. Slim Lewis, he goes with a 5. Slim, thank you so much for the super. Hops in right at the last second. Says late to the show, but no, Rice shouldn't be the starting catcher. This is perfectly okay to think. He said the wear and tear would affect his hitting too much. See, Slim, I wish you showed up way earlier in the show. He should play first base. So Slim is saying that he would just maybe not sever the relationship you've got over there with Goldschmidt, but give him a promotion. He is falling off. Give Ben Rice that promotion at first base, but also clear the way for Austin Wells. He does a good enough job behind the plate. There are a lot of people with that perspective. So I don't blame you. Paul Goldschmidt, hasn't been raking of late. So maybe that's the direction that the Yankees go. But I've long been saying, I think the Yankees know last year, you're sitting there talking about the defense, right, from Rizzo. It fell off a cliff. We know what the Yankees look like in our infield with poor first base defense. Ben Rice, I would say, is close enough defensively where you can make that work. So Slim, have no problem with it. Yeah, Blue Dot, thank you guys for joining us. And of course, make sure you guys subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified anytime we go live. Probably be live around 7 Eastern tomorrow, roughly. And we'll do our best to get out there as soon as possible for you guys. We're not going to make you guys wait forever. And of course, make sure you like the video.